So
We're
cute.
starting with the Jigglypuff. Hi guys. This is called I Was Tired. So, hello everybody. CosTalk Live. We are live today with Lunar Lyn. This way, Lunar Lyn and Thermo Sidekick. And I'm gonna put my phone on Do Not Disturb because it's having a wild heyday today. Today we're talking about cosplaying with hidden illnesses, disorders, mental health, that kind of thing. And we're going to just, accept questions. So if you have any questions, or if you're facing something while cosplaying or go to events and you need some support and some advice, please post it in the comments. As usual, we are streaming live to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So we will be seeing comments from all of those. And hello, Amani. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi.
So we'll go ahead and start with introductions. Lyn, let's have you introduce yourself.
Hi guys, my name is Lyn. I've been cosplaying since, I always get it confused. I think it's 2011 or 2012 now. I've only been sewing for about 8 years or 9 years, and I'm still doing it.
Yay!
Yay!
It's the best way to. Oh, look, Jinx is saying hi. Hi, Jinx.
Hi.
I am Sam from ThermoCosplay, and I've been cosplaying since 2014. And I just I hit the cosplay roller coaster and just never stopped. So I am self-taught and having a lot of fun today talking to people. You guys know me. You've known me for 64 episodes. We're going with Lena.
Hi there. I am not on here very often. I'm sure you guys have noticed, but I am Lena, aka Thermo Sidekick, because everybody wanted to tag me separate from Sam, so I finally caved and got a social media so you guys could tag me separate, which is totally fair because Sam deserves all the credit for all of her hard work, and my thrifting and minimal effortness probably should be separated, but I am
Yours
definitely
counts. You still cosplay. It counts.
I do. I'm definitely more of a lazy cosplayer though, but I mean, Halloween was always my favorite holiday, not because of the candy, but because of getting to dress up.
Right?
I've always loved that sort of thing. So, I'm dressing up, I'm having fun, costume play. There I go.
Yay! All right, so we've done our introductions, and again, if you guys have any questions, please let us know. I'm gonna have a light situation here. There we go. Do not fall off. Okay, that's not falling. So we have Jinx in San Francisco for work right now, and we've got a couple other group members who had things happen. So it is just gonna be us today, and that is okay. But we are talking again about cosplaying with hidden illnesses and disorders. So before we move into that, Lyn, let's have you discuss what got you started in cosplay and what continues to drive you.
So, what got me into cosplay initially, I mean, basically, I saw people dressing up and thought it looked cool, but in a deeper sense, I graduated college during the 2008 recession, and I just couldn't find a job in my degree, which was fine art. So I kind of became a little, I mean, depressed doesn't really touch on what I felt, but I started to do things around the community to find a place for myself, if that makes any sense. And one of my friends, I worked at Apple Retail at the time, and one of my friends said, you should come to Phoenix Comic Con. And I was like, oh, that sounds fun. And that was in 2011. And I remember that was 10 years ago now. Oh my gosh. Even back then, cosplay wasn't quite like popular as it is now. So there weren't as many people dressed up, but just the few people I saw, I was really excited about it. So I started the next year by wearing something that I already had because I grew up in a costuming family, and my mom always had us, she would just buy us costume pieces. We had a dress up box. We always put on little plays, and I was in theater and stuff like that. So it didn't feel weird for me to pull out something from a box and wear it to Comic-Con. And I wore the original Queen Amidala that my mom and I put together in 1999. I kind of fixed it up and wore it again, but it was actually really fun. And of course, people recognized me, and it kind of just like hooks you, when you can share in the characters and fandoms that you love with other fans in that way, just by dressing up as the character. So that kind of got me hooked. And then I decided I wanted to learn how to sew. And I mean, I could sew a straight line. I knew how to thread a machine because of my mom, but I really wanted to learn, how to read patterns, how to sew things for myself. And so by like 2014, I was kind of able to do that kind of thing, but totally self-taught. I was constantly on the phone with my mom. But it also gave me some kind of artistic fulfillment that I was missing out on after years of doing drawing and painting and printmaking that I just dropped because I was no longer in school. I didn't need to do assignments. I didn't have a job in fine art. And it just kind of gave me an outlet to continue to do the things that I always did, but in a way that was very personal and self-fulfilling. And I didn't feel like I had to really make a career out of it. I don't know. It just kept me grounded after years of feeling like I didn't know what I was doing with my life. So here I am, and I now make kind of more complicated things, and I love competing. It's given me friendships that I never thought I'd have and communities I never thought I'd be a part of, and brings me immense amounts of joy. And I can see myself doing this like for decades more. So
Yeah. I feel like that's the one thing most people don't underestimate with cosplay is they get into it. And even if you're just a casual cosplayer, you just keep rolling and rolling, and then you're like, what? Huh? How
it just accumulates. And then all of a sudden you have no closet space.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Closet space is a real issue.
Yep.
But I actually have a degree in media arts and animation. So I graduated when the recession happened too.
Yeah.
So, but I switched gears and went into IT because I've always loved IT as well. But I mean, Lena can attest to this. I was missing the creative elements. So yeah. I actually started selling comic books at Comic-Con. I think it was 2013. And I sold out of all of my comics, and I sold out of all of my like stuff within 2 days. And I was startled because I didn't realize like how big the population for Comic-Con was. It was just kind of, I didn't understand. And while I was there, and I was just wandering around buying stuff from booths and then raffling them off to keep raising money. And I was like, well, I made my money, so the rest of the money will just go to charity because that's just how I work.
Wow. Yeah.
And so while I was buying things and raffling them off, my sister comes up dressed as Sookie Stackhouse, and I was like, wait, what are you doing? I was like, why are you? It's not Halloween. And she's like, oh, it's cosplay. And I was like, what is cosplay? She's like, I thought you would know about this. And I'm like, no, I don't. Because I'd been a Ren Fair girl from like the time I was 5 years old. So, like, tiny little Sam running around in the corset, a feather hat. So like, everyone just thought I knew about this and just decided not to do it. No, I knew nothing about it. Somehow it had eluded me.
Same.
Right?
Yeah, it's so weird.
No. But so 2014, I literally just dove in and made a Diablo 3 Demon Hunter, like my own version of it. And I went into a Phoenix Comic-Con fashion show. It was just supposed to be getting your feet wet, walking around, and it was hosted by Easley's, and Easley's was so astonished that this was the first thing I'd ever made. They gave me like $300 credit to their store, and they made me the winner of the show, and I'm like, this isn't supposed to be a competition. This is too much pressure.
It is a lot of pressure, yeah.
I'm like,
have fun though.
Right, but that's cosplay started for me is like, hey, you know what? I need to do hands-on stuff again, and drawing's great, but like, I miss some of the hands-on things that I used to do. And like you said, it's just gone on a crazy roller coaster. And within a year, I was already getting sponsorships to test out materials.
Yeah.
So guys, it can kick up fast. But yeah. And then we got a couple comments. Cool Gamer says, hi, hello, Cool Gamer. And then Amani made a comment about closet space. Don't even know what bin space is now. Yes. It's terrible. And then Shane said that he lives out of a dresser, and the closet and the garage are only for costumes and wigs.
That's smart. Eventually, it will be that way for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have a habit of yearly or annually, I go through all my costumes. I literally Marie Kondo my costumes. Does this costume spark joy?
Yeah, you kind of have to. Yeah,
I sell it. If it doesn't spark joy anymore, I sell it. like, I got my photos. Fine.
Yep.
So, all right, Lena, have you talk about how you got started? Partially my fault, I know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I always loved Halloween. I always loved dressing up. The opportunity to be able to do that more than once a year seemed awesome to me. And Sam and I have been friends since fifth grade, if I recall correctly. So
At this point, we're sisters and all but blood.
yeah, yeah. And so Sam had also been going to school a long time, and I had moved out of town for a while. So like she got out of school. Oops, sorry guys. She got out of school about when I moved back to Arizona, so it was a really good way for us to be able to hang out as well. And I agree, Lynn. I have met so many people, and like for me, I love the people that are involved. I love meeting new people, or even just meeting strangers that are just as geeky about the fandoms that you're geeky about. And you can be like, ah, like, and even if that's your only reaction, it's like, oh my gosh, this character, and then you like split and never see them again.
Yeah.
That moment is just so awesome.
That's completely true. That is, I feel like that's in it, like a discussion. It should be its own stream. Meeting people at cons that you never see again, unless you're at a con. Like half the time you don't even know
That's
their
true.
names. You just know them by their character or their handle. You're like,
Yep.
that's it. So we're kind of we've got. If you have questions, please let us know. But we're going to go ahead and move into the nitty gritty of this. Some of this might be a little bit heavy for people. Please let us know if you've got concerns or you want to discuss it with us. But we are going to talk about hidden illnesses with cosplay. So Lunar Lyn, would you like to introduce, or would you like one of us to do it?
One of you can do it. I want to get a feel for what you're
Okay.
wanting to go, what direction
Sure.
you're wanting to go.
So hidden illnesses can be many things. It can be mental health, it can be physical, it could be a combination of both. One thing that most people probably don't know about me is I'm nocturnal epileptic. So I can't actually be around strobe lights. So while that doesn't affect me while I'm creating content or cosplay at home, it greatly affects my ability when I go to events and conventions. I can't attend certain panels. I can't attend a lot of events, actually. There's so many concerts and events at conventions that do strobing effects or have strobe lights. There have even been some cons at the entryway have had decor that I've had to find another way around because I could not be exposed to those lights. Not only that, there's certain like things that just trigger a migraine for me because I have the damage from my seizures. I had a 35-minute grand mal seizure as a child, and I survived it somehow. And I had a series of seizures after that. And so far, I've been good for a long time, but I do have what they call echoes, and those can affect the electrical outputs in your brain. So there are things where all of a sudden I'll just get real dizzy, or like I have to be in a dark space, right? It's kind of similar to migraine, where I need to be in a dark, quiet space just to let whatever's going on in my body chill out. But the first few times that happened at a con, I learned to recognize what those triggers were. It was a couple times where like Lena actually realized something was going on because she noticed that my skin was getting paler. You could see the veins underneath my skin, and something was wrong. I'm also anemic, so combine that with these strange echoes from having seizures. It's sometimes I can't tell which is which.
Gosh.
So there have been moments in time where I'm at events where she will kind of like, hey, buddy, let's go sit down for a moment and let's get you something to drink. And the moment I do that and I sit, I realize, oh no, I've been running off adrenaline. Something's very wrong. And there have been times where like it was on the verge, like on the edge of a panel, and I was worried and nervous. And so we got me food and drink, and we're like, if we're going to be a little late, it's okay. Health is better. And I mean, even while I'm creating cosplay, there have been moments where like you get so involved with the craft that you forget about your body. And so I have had times where I've nearly passed out. And if it wasn't for me setting alarms, I have to literally set alarms on my phone to remind myself to eat, to drink, to do things, because I am one of those people that I get tunnel vision when I'm creating, and I don't take care of my body well enough. So I've had to learn ways to cope with this by creating, like I said, by creating alarms, or having a buddy with you, a handler that can recognize these signs and say, we need to do this right now. Nothing else is important. You need to step away. You need to sit down. You need to breathe. And you're not going to see any of this by looking at me.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because I'm
it's
a
all
bubbly ball
physical
of
feeling.
energy. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
and we have a couple
Jessica.
comments, including Jessica saying Sam forgets to stop, which is 100%
Aw.
truth. That's why I'm the sidekick. Is she does all the this way. She does all the really awesome like sewing and the stuff that like But then I'm there and I'm like, you have not eaten yet. Have food. Like, come on, let's sit down.
Friends looking out for you. Yeah.
Yes. And Amani commented that she feels especially bad when she meets someone new and has a migraine because she's not herself. And oh man, I've
For
been there.
sure.
I'm sure you guys
Yeah.
have too. Or like you have something on your head that's like pinching your head and you have a headache and you're like, I want to be friendly to you, but I'm just,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So we've got, Ray even said that cons are the worst as far as running on adrenaline and forgetting to eat, drink, and rest. And it's not just cons. Like, again, it could be something like I might have to go figure out. I literally maybe have some form of OCD or something, but when I am working on anything creative, I just forget about the fact that I have a body.
Get in the zone. Yeah.
And that's not very good. But yeah, that's things that happen. So I mean, sorry, my light's being weird today. You know what? I hate you, light. Why do you hate me today? Okay. Are you good now? Okay. But yeah, no, that's definitely, I mean, and that's probably a little bit like for me, it's mostly the epilepsy is definitely not something I can control. Thankfully, I haven't had seizures in a while, but I know that I've been exposed to something at an event when I go to sleep at night and wake up with night terrors, like fighting walls, which you physically injure yourself doing.
Yeah.
So I have to be very mindful of my exposure. And it's frustrating because I'd love to do all the things, but I can't do any of the nighttime events because all the nighttime events always seem to have some kind of strobe
Flashing light. Yeah.
flashing lights, like even the karaoke, the raves, the concerts,
Oh,
even
yeah.
just playing, like going to the like adult plus panels. They always seem to choose the video clips that's like, oh, bye, I can't watch that.
Yeah.
So I literally, there's definitely a lot that I miss out on and it sucks, but I have to just understand that I'm gonna have to say no to certain things, and there's certain cosplays that I can't do that I think are beautiful, but I can't wear them, maybe because of the pressure they'll put on my neck or my head, or maybe because I can't get out of it fast enough. And if I have a problem where I might potentially pass out because of anemia, which iron deficiencies can just strike. I mean, no matter how good you take care of your body, sometimes the body's just like, whee, it tanks. And I have had my body tank once, and it was unfortunately Emerald City. I had to stop,
yeah.
And I was like, I looked at Lena and I'm like, something's very
feel
wrong,
it.
and I don't know what it is.
It happens fast sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny. After all the Arizona cons where you're like sweating and doing all this kind of stuff, no problem. We go to Emerald City where it's nice and cool.
And I nearly pass out.
Oh, man.
So you never know when that's going to happen. And so, like I said, mine is mostly the epilepsy and the anemia, and just some kind of mental block, not knowing how to stop. But that's I know that's kind of very tampered down. And I most people are like, "Oh, you're epileptic. That's scary." I've lived with it since 3rd grade, so to me, it's just like, whatever. Like, there's a risk there that I'll have a seizure, but at least it'll happen when I'm asleep.
You manage
and
it
not when
well.
I'm awake. Yeah.
Gosh.
So,
yeah.
Still scary, but
Yeah,
at least I'm not going to like fall in the middle of the floor somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there you go. There's like an example of hidden illnesses that exist, and how they impact my cosplay. For me, it impacts my ability to attend events, panels, and even outdoor nighttime activities. Like there's cosplay meetups all the time, and I can't go to them because they're at places that don't have the ability to turn off flashing lights. There's some karaoke lounges that you can control the lighting in, which is great. And if we have those, like, okay, cool, I'll go. There's so many bar events in Arizona for some reason with cosplay.
Yeah, there are.
Can't go to a single one.
I would have never thought about that. Yeah. Yep, makes sense. Aw.
So.
And Bray says it's important that people around you are aware and have an idea of what to do, because she said she has health issues too. Yeah, buddy system is so great when you can do it. I mean, don't keep yourself from doing things if you can't get a buddy, but it's really nice to have.
Yeah. Great. I agree. Whoever you're traveling with, please let them know.
Yeah,
because if they don't know, they
smart.
can't help you.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, who would like to go next?
I'll go ahead and go. I'll try to not be too long with it. I'm excited to talk about this because while I try not to let it define me, it is a huge part of my life. And I don't talk about it a whole lot, only because sometimes I've gotten mixed reactions and some people misunderstand maybe my attitude about it, or that I might be a little stuck up when they first meet me. I promise that it's not like that. I even have families still just misunderstand my behavior because I internalize a lot, and I find myself just getting through the day, and I know that I tend to get quiet or grouchy, and it's not because of anyone. It's just solely because of how I feel physically. So long story short, I have a handful of autoimmune diseases. I remember the first time I woke up, I remember what year it was. I remember when I woke up and I just hurt all over, and I thought it was really weird, like I had the flu or something. And 4-ish years later, I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is my body's attacking my thyroid gland, so I'm chronically low on thyroid, and that can affect staying awake, weight fluctuations, how your organs function. It's kind of terrifying if you don't have modern medicine to help balance those hormone levels. Your thyroid's really important. I also have lupus markers, and actually I'm kind of more or less in remission. That's not really a thing with lupus, but I'm not what they call ANA positive right now. So I don't really have to worry about organ failure, which is a major complication of lupus. Your body is attacking your body. It's super fun. Basically, what it feels like is you're always hurting. Your body's always tense and sore. Sometimes it can be just kind of like a level 1 or 2. It's constantly there. I'm never pain-free. Sometimes it's so bad, I have a hard time getting up in the morning. I have a hard time driving my car. It just feels like my muscles are constricted and tight. I can't even stand people to hug me sometimes because my arms are really that feels like you're bruised. When someone hugs you, it burns for seconds afterwards. Certain clothing hurts to wear. But it depends on the time. There are factors that can keep me from being more in pain than I could be. When I'm really bad, I call that a flare-up. A flare-up feels like I have the flu coming. Everything hurts. Sometimes I have a low-grade fever, and I'm not sick. It's just my body's inflammation kicking up into high gear. A lot of my close friends, I make jokes about it, but a lot of my close friends know that I'm a coffee addict, but it's on purpose. That's how I function. It is a stimulant. Yeah, it's a fine balance. Too much caffeine can give me a flare up, but just enough in the day, which is quite a lot, keeps me from just absolutely crashing and not having a life. It's not unusual that I go to work and I come home and sleep for 2 hours, eat dinner, do a couple things, and then go to bed because I just can't. I describe it as like I just need to be horizontal. Even if I don't sleep, I just need to lay down because my energy has been expended. Yeah. The energy levels I have every day, I have to guard and plan out, and that sucks. It's kind of more natural to me now, but I have to be like, okay, these are the things I have to do
You have to like
today.
regiment it, right?
Yes. And then I plan accordingly. So that's when some of the social things can be a little tough as far as I've said no to a lot of things recently, COVID aside. um, if someone's like, hey, we're getting together at 8 p.m. to do something, I have to be like, okay, but I can't do anything the rest of the beginning of the day if I'm going to be able to do it. If I do go ahead and do it, there's a risk that I'll get a flare up, and then the next day I won't be able to get out of bed. It's the strangest thing, and while it's happening, it's like it's it just feels so, I don't know, unreal. Like, this is my life. I don't have the energy to even talk to anybody,
So
much
for your
less
cosplays, that's probably why you plan them so far in advance.
I
Because I
have
see you
to.
announce things and you plan it like 6 months in advance, and
Hmm.
that's smart because you're finding a way to work around what you have.
Yeah, I even plan how heavy something is, or where it sits on me, or if I'm just going to wear it for a certain amount of time. If it's going to be for competition, I try to make it as comfortable as possible. And if it's not, plan accordingly. If it has a headdress, I drink a ton of water the day before. I take ibuprofen the first when I first get up to and then I keep a steady dose of painkiller. I make sure I take thyroid medication, and I take other medications for my fibromyalgia pain. And I just make sure that I do not miss any of that, because it could make or break an entire convention weekend. It definitely influences, like, if I travel out of state for a convention, I have a really tough time sleeping. I'm always the last person to fall asleep and the first person to wake up,
Do you have
because
to like bring special pillows or
I do
blankets or
if I
something?
can. If I drive, I do. Flying is a bit tougher because if I'm, using a space bag for a pillow, that takes up space a costume could take up. So I have to choose. Some of my staples for traveling would be ice packs, electric heat pad, some kind of pillow. Sometimes I bring like silicone massage balls to use like on. I get really sore and tender up here, just from
Is it
existing.
like those
So
plantar fasciitis little balls? Like you're supposed to put it
yes.
in your feet, but you
Mm-hmm.
use them up. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
You can put them up against a wall and then like
Mhm.
rub your back against them on the wall. It just helps. Stretching daily is so important that if I don't do it, even, I don't even know. I will start hurting before lunchtime if I don't do stretching in the morning and then stretching before I go to bed. And yeah, I mean, it's a matter of, someone was asking if I use the spoon method. Absolutely. And that's the easiest way to describe it to somebody that may not understand. I guess Lena uses that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to explain to someone that, no, please don't take it personally that I can't make it to your party. When I run out of, I have 5 spoons in the day, and when I'm down to like a half a spoon, I can't um, come, because I will just, it's almost, once if I deplete my energy all the way, the next day I cannot function. Um, yeah, I also have to be careful of, I don't eat sugar or drink sugar, and what's the other thing? All of a sudden my brain. I have to just stay away from certain triggers. Like I can't have gluten, I don't eat sugar. Oh, alcohol. So it's becoming more of a thing that you say, no, I don't drink, people respect that. But in some social cases, when I'm like, oh, I don't drink alcohol, it makes me feel really terrible, they don't understand, like, no, it can make me very sick. It's not just like it gives me a hangover, it can cause me not to be able to sit up out in the bed the next day. So it's easier now, and a lot of my close friends understand that, support me, and respect it. So
That's good. Yeah. So we've got a couple comments. So yes, the spoon method, you said that you yes do that. And I when Lena told me about that, I was like, I has no spoons, they're everywhere. But but I completely acknowledge individuals who have them. It's just I seem to not understand there's limits to things. I don't want to acknowledge them. I feel like I rail against limits. I'm like, no. But Ray saying that they appreciate everyone sharing their situations. It's a great topic. I agree. And yes, Anthony, I am wearing a Jigglypuff hat. I'm wearing like super pink makeup, and I'm wearing super pink shirt. I was like, I am going Jigglypuff today. So yes, I'm trying to soothe all of you to sleep with this very heavy topic.
Sounds nice.
Like, thank you, Jigglypuff. But you're talking about alcohol, and there's very, like, I can drink, but it's only certain things because I have a stomach deformity. I forget about the things I have because
I know,
you just
same.
live with them,
Yeah.
right? You just live with them. But there are times where I go to events and stuff, and people are like, "Oh, let's go eat this, and let's do it," and like it's all. I mean, or even just cosplaying. Someone will come over. We're going to do a group cosplay together. We're going to work on it together in a group, and someone will bring food. And I'm allergic to onions, and I have a stomach deformity. The sphincter that opens to accept food for me isn't shaped right, so I get really bad acid reflux if I'm not careful with what I eat and drink. And alcohol is one of those things too that I'm like, okay, how's my stomach today? Nope. Or yeah. But typically even yep is like the list of alcohol that exists and what I can actually have. So I understand that. Plus, like, autoimmune disorders in general and alcohol typically don't seem to get along, especially with the medications.
It's very inflammatory to anyone, but especially someone whose body is attacking itself.
Yeah. Lena, would you like to talk a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So one of the reasons I was talking to
your
Sam
microphone needs to be closer to your mouth, buddy. It's a little bit quiet.
There we go.
Yeah.
Cool. See if it'll stay. So one of the reasons I was telling Sam about the spoon theory is I had a friend of mine tell me, and I think that's how it just perpetuates, somebody tells somebody. But it was more in the context of mental illness, which, I, for a long time was like, oh, I'm sorry for the people that struggle with that, but that's not me. And then meanwhile, like, I'll have days where I can't get anything done, or I will freak out, or, like terrible, terrible things. And it just took me a really long time to come to terms with, yeah, that's me. Like, I never thought anybody that had mental illness was weak, but I thought that I was weak for having it because we hold ourselves to a different standard, I think. Yeah, it's tough. I particularly have a hard time with getting started on new things and just catastrophizing and over exaggerating in my mind how difficult something's going to be or how tough it's going to be. So once I get started on a project, I do okay, but to get started on that project takes a lot for me to go.
That's where having a partner is useful when you struggle with mental health, because when she started explaining a lot of this to me, because I am the utmost optimist, but when she started explaining this to me, I felt so bad for not having, like, I felt like I hadn't supported her enough, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm going to start slowing down and ask, like, when I notice things, I'm going to ask, are you okay? What's going on? What's holding you back? What's scaring you? And when we started doing this, our projects started to get a little bit easier.
Oh, yeah, because again, the thing that just got me stuck was getting started. So having friends, and I realize this isn't available to everybody because, different people have different friend groups. Maybe you just recently moved and you don't know that many people, or maybe your friends don't cosplay. But I'm really lucky that for me, I have a lot of friends in the cosplay community. So a lot of times we'll just schedule like crafting days so that we can get started on the project. And once I get like about X amount far and have a certain plan, then I can start to do it on my own. But I found that doing it with other people was a really good way to get me started and kind of force myself over that hump that a lot of times that I'll have.
Yeah, so true. I've even, some of my friends and I, we don't have to be working on the same thing, but we'll just have like little Zoom or Google meetings, and just, even if we don't talk, we'll just be working together, and that just helps. I hate to use the word accountability because it's just a hobby, but
it just
helps you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's motivating.
Because being alone working on something, really does kind of, for some people, it makes like an empty room seems more empty, right? Like when there's no one
Yeah.
else in there, it makes it worse. And for other people, it's just like they overthink and then they just go down this path and anxiety sparks, and all of a sudden they're in a room full of everything out on the floor that they can't figure out. So having someone present sometimes just is a soothing presence, and it's not even accountability. Like I said, it's like the pack mentality, right? You know, you're
Sure.
protected, and it's you don't need to be safe. It's just something that soothes you.
Yeah,
So I think,
absolutely.
I think that's it. So Imani said that Sabo, after the masquerade, she had no spoons. Yes, and that's why we
Oh,
escorted
girl,
you
I remember
promptly
seeing
back.
you. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I feel that.
We went immediately. Imani was like, "I'm so tired." I'm like, "Let's get a lift, an Uber," and we went straight back to the Airbnb. Helped her get out of that, and it's just like crashed. So,
Yeah. Masquerade
like,
days are super intense. Yeah.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Like
for
miserably
sure.
intense.
And then the Phantom of Mini Topics was asking if any of us are going to the San Diego Thanksgiving weekend Comic Con. I am not, because I'm going to Emerald City, so I'm
And
prepping
I
for that.
hope to be going to Emerald City. We'll see.
Yeah. And then Jess said that she ran out of spoons on the first day of Sabo. That is another thing to the pandemic. I've
Yeah.
never been depressed for, to my knowledge at least, and it caused. I mean, I tanked when I couldn't communicate with people, right? And I
Yep.
had like Zoom,
Yeah.
but when I couldn't just see someone's face, even if they were far away, I couldn't see them. Um, I lost what I thought was a part of my identity, and I gained a significant amount of weight, and then I didn't want people to see me, even though I've been over 100 pounds weight, but like I wasn't even near that. Like it was just 40 pounds, so I kept the other 60 off. But to me, like a lot of people haven't known me when I was in the very high 200s, nearly 300s. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, super. I didn't want people to see me, which isolated me more, and so that was definitely hard coming back to cons, knowing that I'm still overweight and that I'm still struggling with my identity and my mental health. And so I totally agree that, like, as people return to cons, please be gentle with yourself, because you've been away for a long time and you may not realize that you have triggers that didn't exist before.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a really good point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I know the pandemic was really rough for me too, and it's sort of a mixed blessing and curse because I'd been doing therapy for years and years and years, off and on, depending on what was going on in my life and how things were going. But during the pandemic was the first time that I'm like, I need something a little bit more than this because it's just like I know all the right coping mechanisms. I know all the things to tell me, but I'm miserable, absolutely miserable. So I actually ended up getting some medication, and so now I officially have medications for my beautiful little brain. Which, if anybody's considering that, it does not change who you are. It
Nope, not
doesn't.
at
It's
all.
it's just like once I started taking them, I was like, oh my gosh, is this how normal people live? Like, did somebody give me cheat codes? Like, what's going on here? I can actually get things done. Like, I can have a
Yeah.
plan and actually do it without exhausting myself to the point of having to lay down just by thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. And yeah, so and I see Fabio said he doesn't see me on here like ever, and that's one of the reasons it's so funny. I always thought of myself as an extrovert, and I even still do think of myself in some ways as an extrovert. But if you were around me, you'd think I was an introvert because I don't show up a lot, and it's really just kind of feast and famine for me. If I'm not around people, then I get stuck in this thing, and it's really hard for me to break out. And then once I break out, I'm a million times better once I'm around people again. But like the longer I go without it, the bigger that wall gets and the harder it is to jump over it. So yeah, I pretty much disappeared during the pandemic. I felt really bad. I wanted to reach out to my friends to make sure they were okay, and the truth was I wasn't okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I made it happen, got through it. I think like a lot of us
Dungeons
were
and
able to.
Dragons
Thank
saved
goodness.
us.
It did. We started
Aw.
playing D&D with some of our close friends. We all got, the vaccinations as soon as they were available for the general public. So we started like our little small group there and built our way
Yeah,
out.
that's what I
And
did too.
yeah,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That's
So
great.
Yeah.
So we've kind of talked about like how hidden illnesses can impact our ability to cosplay, what it does at events. So how has cosplay actually helped you cope with what it is that you like? What has it done to fulfill the happiness meter that you have in your life?
Is that just open to anybody?
Open. I mean, I can start it, but I mean, someone want to open it.
I mean, I will be the first one to tell you that, and I say this to a lot of people, having a hobby that it doesn't, okay. People that are like, okay, but are you making money off of this? I'm like, if you want to, that's cool. But it's also really healthy to have a hobby that you do just for the joy of it. It's so good for you mentally. It's good for your soul. It gives you, it grounds you. And what I mean by that is, during my worst times, I would actually disassociate, and I describe it as it's an anxiety symptom, but you feel like you're just watching yourself outside of your body. And when I have a project, like my hobby is making things, it keeps me in my body. It grounds me. It gives me something to look forward to. It gives me goals. A lot of people can get that from their jobs, but I really do think you should have a hobby outside of it. Like, I work for my family business. I work with my two brothers who are younger than me, and they work really hard at a desk job all day, but they have D&D and music and things outside of it that keep them grounded, that give them something to do that brings them joy outside of just like daily monotony and work. And that's just a very healthy thing to do.
I agree.
For me, having that excuse to get out there, meet new people, all that kind of stuff. Again, I know I said I'm like that weird introvert, extrovert, but meeting new people, just hearing their experiences, hearing their stories. Like, I love going through airports by myself and just meeting random people and like, oh my gosh, there's like whole people that exist that I never even knew about. So being able to do that at cons, and just building the friendships that I've made through cosplay have been amazing. I honestly, unfortunately, don't get a ton of satisfaction out of making the costume when I'm making it, but at the end of the day, once I wear it, once I have pictures of it, I'm like, okay, no, that was definitely worth it. And especially when I can do things like what you're seeing there, you'll see it's pretty rare that you see a cosplay picture of me where I'm not with other people, because that's what I'm in it for personally. It's just, we have such a great community and it keeps
Or
getting
Venom,
bigger.
because Lena loves Venom.
Yes, or Venom.
Oh, do you really? I love that.
Let's see here. And Robert Webb said, even with Zoom, nothing beats personal interaction. I 100% agree. I think we all got Zoom
That's why it's been
fatigue.
so tough this last year.
Yeah.
I mean, cosplay is many things to many people. But I think everyone can agree that the friends and community is a huge part of it. For people, it's like the thing about cosplay. So losing that in 2020 was very difficult. Yeah, it doesn't replace in-person communication.
And I mean, the pandemic did help with one thing. It helped me realize that I can stream, because that was one thing I was always afraid of. So I broke through that. I mean, we even did a 4-hour stream. So, but streaming again, I'm talking to my camera, and I know people are on the other side, but it's like, hi, camera, you are weird looking.
It's not a person with feedback and facial expression. And
yeah, maybe I should just build a little thing and then just like stick magnets on it, and it can be happy or sad, like a little face around my camera. I don't know if that'll help, but yeah, no, I agree with Robert too. And then Jessica said that she is an advocate for meds if you need them. So don't feel ashamed. I mean, like I said, I was nocturnal epileptic. I was on medication for a really long time. And to deal with some of the after effects and issues I have with sleeping sometimes, I have to take like indica. So I have to like literally take THC sometimes to get my brain to just chill out. Because there are just moments in time where I literally cannot sleep. Or I go to sleep and I wake up with the most horrific nightmares, literally fighting things. Like I am out of my bed in my room fighting things. So you just have to, sometimes you're just going to have to accept that your body needs a little bit of help.
And that's totally okay. Yeah. We're all human.
Yep.
Well, and I think one of the
Robert.
tougher. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think one of the tougher things too about living long term with illnesses, and I don't personally have any autoimmune, but I have two very close friends of mine that do, Lynn. So I hear a lot about it. And, you know, Sam, we've talked about this over the years. I think one of the tougher things is what works today is not guaranteed to be what's going to work tomorrow. And so having to relearn what new strategy is going to work for you in the new, you know, situation that you're in is also a little bit challenging. But I think it's also normal for something long term. And that's something else I didn't know for a long time is that, you know, it was going to change and I'd have to like change tracks, and that was okay.
Just constantly adjust what you do for yourself.
Yeah.
I do feel like every time I go to a convention, it's a new learning experience because, oh, this happened and I never thought that would happen.
You're just leveling up. That's all.
That's a good way to look at it.
So no, that makes sense. Robert says if you've never cosplayed at a con, it is hard to explain the feelings you get when you have the entire experience. Jessica said that cosplay has helped her immensely with mental health, especially over the last 2 years. And that's probably the community aspects is just having someone to bounce things off of, or even having a face just present on the other side. So I totally get that. Apparently the Phantom of Minitomics said, beware of meeting friends at airports. So noted.
Well, I'm not putting anything in my bag for them. We're just having conversations.
And then Joe says hello. Hello, Joe.
Hi.
Robert also mentioned that everyone is different and has needs different care. We just need to care for each other and learn what our differences are. So I agree there. Rob helped me out recently at YumaCon and figured things out before I did. So like he made me get up and move around because I was so focused on this is a new community for me. So I was building relationships, networking. I was really interacting with all the fans, and I was not allowing myself time to breathe. And so he frequently made me walk away and, go, hey, when did you use the bathroom last? Oh, I have no idea. Well, you know how hard it is for you to get out of this outfit, so you should probably go down. Hey, this you should probably go to the break room and get something to drink, or have you eaten anything today? Oh, I don't know. So yeah, there's just things that having someone around the community is incredibly supportive and it's very helpful having those people with you. Cosplay for me, because we've all kind of talked about like how it's helped. It's helped me. You mentioned Lunar Lyn about like the creative side and how it's kind of waning, and it just sucked that it was so hard to find a job. And then even when you found a job during the recession, they didn't want to pay you. They wanted you to be an intern for 40 hours a week, and it's like no. I've literally had a paying job since I was 13. You can
like that's crazy to me. Like, how are you supposed to live? Yeah.
It seems to be specifically in art and like it seems to be in like the arts and acting and some specialized fields, even like if you're electrical or plumbers, they always have this thing where like, oh, can you do 20 to 30 hours a week for free? It's an internship. It's an apprenticeship. And I'm like,
yeah, graphic designers have it.
It's indentured servitude. That's what this is, guys.
And the kinds of jobs I was looking for are the kinds that there are not very many of them. They require higher education, which means spending more money and being in more debt. And then they're held by people for 30 plus years. So if you do find one, it's rare.
Yeah. So it's definitely one of those things that I shifted gears, one, because I'd always liked technology, but because I shifted gears and I took the more analytical side of my brain, like I'm more than just a geek or a nerd. Like I will admit I'm very smart, but that's more because after my seizures was told that I might have memory issues, and I took that as a personal challenge. So
excellent.
I don't have
I love that. Issues. You're like, I'll show you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So cosplay just helped me get back into crafting things with my hands, and it made me happy again. And then I never loved my body. I had a really hard time loving myself. I did not love myself for a really long time. And so cosplay taught me to love myself.
Yeah. I understand that.
Even though I struggle with weight, I also have like I'm heading into perimenopause much younger than I should be. So there's other things happening in my body that I don't really have control over.
Yeah.
And so I've just kind of had to learn to accept it because I'm like, I actually still, yeah, I am a little fluffier, but I still love myself. And yeah, I might have to add a corset back to that costume. It's okay. Like we'll make it work. So
Corset backs are amazing.
yes.
They really
Yeah.
are. They're so forgiving. Yeah.
I kind of highly recommend people like do corset backs or elastic. Like
Yeah.
just give up on the whole zippers. Plus, I swear they're making zippers worse. I've had more zippers break on me in the past 3 years than
I
ever before.
struggle.
Like, unless
I
it's a
struggle with
jacket
them.
zipper, invisible zippers are terrible. They're
Oh
just
gosh.
they're
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah, I agree, actually. Yeah, the
I've
teeth
had
on
to
mine break.
custom order industrial invisible zippers, and those work. But like anything you get just at like a Joann's or a Michael's or like some kind of sewing, they break on me all the time, and I haven't even installed them. Like I'm just doing the test,
Yeah,
and
the
it
teeth
breaks.
are break. Yep. Yeah, I've noticed that too. That's kind of weird.
What?
It's just something that I've accepted, and I'm just like, well, I'm sure I'll have to replace this in a couple of years.
So, okay, looks like we've got a lot more comments. People are, thank you for interacting today. And Joe said that cosplaying has helped his autistic son, and I have met his son, and I have seen like in the past year since I've been cosplaying, I met the Clucks pretty early on, and Weldon would not really interact or talk with people, and now he's super excited to share like about the character, and like
It's amazing.
he talks to me every con. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And then Phantom of Many Topics said, when your hobby becomes a moneymaker, it becomes a business. Then the focus becomes income rather than fun. So yeah,
it can. It's personally, I would not be able to do that because I already have only so much energy in a day, and I would rather it go to. I have my job to pay my bills and fund my hobby, and then I have my hobby and my community to bring me joy. So
yeah.
I personally want to keep it that way.
Agreed. Amani said that serotonin is sometimes the best medicine, and it helps so much. And cosplay cosplay makes me feel a lot stronger in general. Sorry, I could not read that for a second.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So it's definitely empowering.
It's definitely, I don't know, like I feel like more people should really try cosplay out, even if it's just for once. And that was the one thing that when I went to YumaCon, it was really cool. There were people just running around in outfits. I mean, there were so many of those inflatable dinosaurs. It was hilarious. And like it was great. And then there were those like inflatable sumo wrestlers, and the people had like added funny things to them to be based off of a character. But I realized that like more people were coming up and to my booth in a costume, and they're like, what's ThermoCosplay? And I told them that's my brand, and they're like, well, what do you do? And I tell them what I do, and they're like, oh wait, you can cosplay for like charity, and you can cosplay like as a career, and like cosplay isn't just dressing up for fun. I'm like, no, it's also dressing up for fun. It's many things, so it's just like driving. You can drive to get to and from work, or you can race as a career. I mean, there's many levels. And so the fact that there were people literally dressed up, walking around who had no idea that cosplay was more than just putting on a costume, and learning about it was pretty cool. And so many of them were like, well, I just really wanted to be this character, so I put it on, and it made me feel really good. And I'm like, yeah, well, if you really like it and you want to keep doing it, you can raise money for charities in it, or you could go visit hospitals and kind of cheer up kids that are in really dire situations, or you could do photo shoots and just make yourself feel more empowered. So I think everyone should at least try it once.
Yeah.
And then that was YumaCon in Yuma, Arizona, not in Detroit.
I know there's like 3 different YumaCons. There's one international, there's one in Detroit, and there's one in Arizona.
That's confusing.
Yeah. So we're getting to the last 6 minutes. If you have any questions for our guest, Lunar Lyn, please ask them now. In the future, what do you see yourself doing with cosplay? How do you think it will continue to play a role in your life?
For me personally, just having fun with friends. I do like making complicated projects for competition, but I also just love buying something simple and hanging out with friends at a convention, for me, it's like half and half. But I will probably retire from competing locally now, and focus more on bigger long-term projects and competitions. So it'll look like I won't be competing as much, but it's just because I'm going to be going to bigger places that will probably cost me more money to get there. But that's what I'll probably be doing in the next few years. And then just enjoying making things. I kind of want to do more like Star Wars stuff. I still love anime and I love Sailor Moon, but I'm probably going to be doing less and less of that as time goes on, just because my interests have shifted a little bit. So
Star Wars is so awesome.
there's so much. It's so rich
Yeah.
in character and lore. You can make up your own characters,
Yeah.
or you can go as screen accurate as you wanna.
My favorite Star Wars costume I've ever done, I was a Nagai, which they're technically considered legends characters now, but whatever.
Who cares?
I was like, whatever, I don't care. But the Nagai are just, they're completely white skinned, they have crazy black tattoos and crazy black hair, and they're just basically the rogues of the universe. And it was so much fun. It was just, you get to play with makeup.
It's so fun.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I mean, if you're a Star Wars fan, I really recommend you go to Star Wars Celebration. They only come around like every 3 years.
It's the same weekend as Phoenix this year.
I know. I'm going to Star Wars Celebration because it's.
If I get in, I told Phoenix, I was like, "There's a chance, guys."
It's such a. I mean, it is just mind-blowingly awesome. Star Wars Celebration convention. Yeah. So I'll be there.
Nice.
Imani, I just read your comment, Imani.
She said, for those of you that can't see it, she says she's retiring to give us a chance.
I love the local community. Arizona has one of those rare communities where everyone's just so awesome and roots for each other. And the green rooms at the local anime conventions are like so fun. I wish I had more energy at Sabo. I was also very just tired and not as social as I try to be, even though I'm introverted. But it's so fun. And I love Sabo, but I think my time has come to step away. So. Sorry, Lena. Go ahead. You were going to say something.
No. I was meant gonna just read the same comment. So.
Oh.
Yep. What about you, Lena? Any plans for future with cosplay? How's it gonna help you?
I think I'm just trying to give myself more of a break on. It's okay if I just buy cosplay so that I don't have to go through that whole I definitely still do want to create from time to time, particularly to compete, but all of my friends keep doing this thing called practicing, and so they do this thing called getting better, and then I don't practice and I don't get better. It's the weirdest thing. So I've been kind of competing less and less because obviously their skills have been going up as they've been doing that more, and since I don't do it as often, not there. But that doesn't mean that I can't still hang out and have a great time.
Yeah.
So.
So we have more comments. We have Phantom of Mini Topics asked if we're going to Konnichiwa before Emerald City. I'm not doing anything before Emerald City because I really, really want to finish my Mandalorian Merida. And I know that I probably won't have my bucket finished just because we can't wear buckets. They have to see your face covering. So I'm just going to do the Bo-Katan headpiece.
I love that idea. Ooh,
yeah. So I still have that reference piece there, and then I'm just gonna buy a little. So Walmart's selling these little satchels with these cute freaking baby Yodas in them for like $40, and I'm like, I want to buy a little baby Yoda satchel.
Those.
And I'll have all my stuff in there, and I'll have all of my armor on. Plus, it's layers, and Seattle's cold in December, and my body temperature runs way lower than most people, and I'm like, okay, layer. I can layer up with this.
Man, I relate to that.
Yeah. So the Mandalorian is awesome. Yeah. Okay, Lena, I can't read that last comment for something. Let me see if I can scroll. I think my scrolling. Hang on.
From Twitch.
Yeah, it's not refreshing for me.
I'm gonna say the name wrong, so apologies. But it looks like
Is it Swag Rascal?
Yep. So when you get go to the cons, how bad is the body odor from some of the cosplayers? Um, yeah, you know what? It's a thing, but honestly, especially with it being Arizona, there's
Cosplayers, it's not as big of a problem because they don't want to
It
ruin their
actually,
costumes.
yeah, it's less of a
we
problem
get
with
we get really
cosplayers than
paranoid about it. So
yeah. I
we
think
try
that's
really hard.
because I literally carry like Odabon with me, which is a fabric disinfectant.
Mhm.
And I like will like if I'm worried about something, I do that. Plus most cosplayers I know they don't want their costumes to be really damaged. So over time,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like the minute you're done with the day, you take it out, you air it out, and you spray it with a disinfectant because
Yeah.
if it gets damaged, if your body sweat will damage clothing,
Yep.
and you let it sit on there too long, you can't wear it. And
Mhm.
cosplay's not cheap, whether you buy it or make it.
Yeah,
So
and these days, when you do, come across somebody, first of all, there are a lot of layers, and honestly, it is work to wear a lot of these costumes, especially the more elaborate ones. So, like,
yeah,
if you think of like an athlete that was just, running around on a basketball court, or like swinging a racket at a tennis ball or something like that, like they're gonna sweat there, so that there's gonna be some body odor. So if you're like trying to hug your favorite cosplayer at the end of the night, like sometimes that's just gonna happen.
they're just gonna be like,
We
I
try
love
really
you.
hard not
Yeah, I don't.
to.
I usually don't hug. I do like arm hugs with friends, but I don't let people touch costumes. Just it's not personal, really. It's just don't touch the costume.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll go ahead and I'm not actually sure about what our next episode is because I didn't schedule it. I'm sorry. Jess Jinx cosplay is out right now, and I'm a little behind in knowing what everything is. But Lunar Lyn, where can everybody reach you? I'm actually gonna pull up your link tree and share that too.
Oh yeah, thank you. I'm mostly on Instagram, Twitter. I just do Star Wars stuff on Twitter, but Instagram is where you can find me most of the time. I do have a Facebook page that's connected to my Instagram, so you can contact me through there or email. Um, and I am on TikTok. I'm feeling it a little, feeling it out a little bit. I don't always like seeing myself on camera, so I just post a lot of like my work and stuff. So hopefully I'll do more of that. It's also very time consuming to make video, so we'll see how that goes later.
Yeah, yeah, I agree there. And then Lena, you pretty much can reach Lena through me.
Yeah, I made an extra page because everybody wanted to tag me through it, but if you send me a message there, I am not going to see it. I apologize. That's not my cosplay goals, is building a brand. Like, I love that so many people are doing that. I think it's great. It's not where I want to put my energy into. So yeah, if you're wanting to reach out to me, it's actually better to do ThermoCosplay contact information than it is anything that's labeled as Thermo Sidekick.
And if you want to find all of our stuff, just go to thermocosplay.com. We've got all the links up
Ooh, look at
here.
the picture.
I know, right?
I like
And
it.
so find everything here. The events is a little
That's so
outdated. I
nice.
will update that this weekend. I have to update CosTalk Live too. So you can also get CosTalk Live if you go to costalk-live.com. You can reach us there, and we'll be updating our websites this week, or I will be updating all the websites this week. But thank you very much, Lunar Lyn, for being with us today.
Thanks
and
for having
talking
me.
to us.
And it
What
looks
is your
like
next event other than Emerald City?
If I get into Emerald City there, but it will be Katsucon, hopefully, as long as everything's good by then.
Yeah, yeah.
That's in February.
Understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for me, my next event would be, I mean, for both of us too, is Emerald City and then TaiyuCon. I will be a little bit quiet over the next week because I'm getting my booster shot on Monday. So getting another booster. I
Good
get
for
shot
you.
number 3 for
Yeah.
Pfizer. Which I wanted to do if I was going to start going more into in-person cosplay things, but I don't know how my body's going to react. So,
Yep.
I usually get very fatigued off of vaccines in general. So you might not see thermal cosplay for a little while. But
And then next week, it looks like Jessica said it's going to be spoopy. as in spooky, with Maggie,
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
who is an amazingly talented kind of horror is the direction that she likes to go with her costumes. So we thought that'd be excellent for,
Yeah, that's
around
perfect.
Halloween time. So if you
Mm-hmm.
want like a quick, like, how do I make my face look like it's being torn apart, or like all sorts of effects or things like that, definitely don't miss that one.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us today. We're going to bid you adieu and we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.